E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories, broadcasting and live streaming to millions of devices around the world, including Roku, and live streaming to Facebook Live, also on Amazon Fire TV, and to Twitch. Also, Android TV and Periscope. Broadcasting to Apple TV and YouTube Live. Proudly brought to you by our host, Donna Guinois, producer and host, Michaela Vidal, host and administrator, and Jim Grant, producer and host. Proudly brought to you by the 6minutewebinar.com. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The Messages of Inspirational Stories is proudly brought to you by the 6-Minute Webinar, the good guys over there. I tell you, we've got an amazing show for you today. We're so happy to be here with you. Donna is going to be back with us probably, next week. She's still sick, but she is doing much, much better. And Donna, I'm drinking that tea again, that good herbal tea in your honor. So maybe that helped a little bit, but also too, Donna, rest assured that we've been keeping you in our prayers and our thoughts, you and Edgy both. And we pray that you will be restored to your much wanted health real soon. And I know you're doing much better and you're feeling better. So we just want to, clap our hands and say, we're glad for that. We give thanks. And ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you something about this tea here. This is an herbal tea and it's got a combo in it, but let me share something with you. Did you know, have you ever heard of a word called oxalic acid? OXALIC acid. It's in all of our plants. One of the plants that has an abundance of it is parsley. Oxalic acid will attack the abnormal cells in your body, and just do the research on it yourself. OXALIC acid. Do the research on it for yourself. But I personally, I will take parsley since it's so rich in oxalic acid, and I will dip it, clean it in water, and all that, and make sure there's no chemicals on it. But what I do, I put it under my tongue because I want to get the benefits of it into my bloodstream and not into my gut. That's the same thing that they did to me when I was in the hospital, had my heart attack. They gave me nitro under the tongue because they wanted me to get that into my bloodstream to get me open up and get me going. So I wanted to share that with you. That's a nicety to know because we used to laugh at grandma back in the 70s and 60s and all that. She'd drink her tea and feel real good. And we used to joke around, well, grandma probably put something else in there like wild weed or something in there, but truth be known, as we found out, we were the dumb bunnies. Grandma knew what she was doing. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, today, we're going to be talking about, are you ready for your calling? And Mr. Emerson Brantley and I, we're going to be sharing some things with you. And Emerson asked me to share my part of my story on how our paths eventually met down the road. But without any further ado, he's got his brand on today. And Mr. Emerson Brantley, he is fondly known as the pirate. And there he is. Yeah, there you go. How you doing?
Marketing pirate, you lover.
Yeah. And every time he goes somewhere and someone sees him in a crowd, they know exactly who he is.
Ahoy there, matey.
Yeah. That is so cool. I like that hat.
Kind of fond of it myself.
Yep. And how did that hat come about? I mean, I know you were going to a costume party or something. Well, is that correct?
You have to go back a few years. My wife and I were cruise directors with our sailing club. And so every year there was a Talk Like a Pirate Day and mixing up grog and things like that. And so we had all of the accoutrement to be pirates. She was a lady pirate, and I was a non-lady pirate. In fact, we had a talk like a pirate contest every year, and she won one of the years. When they got to her, instead of saying "ahoy there" and "arg," she went, "Ah, he's a likely one. Ooze him off and bring him to me cabin." And she won.
Oh my goodness!
There's a little thing called the Marketer's Cruise that normally 400 to 500 marketers from all over the world go on each year. And I've been going on it for about, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. The first year that I was on it, every year they have a themed party. The first year I went as the pirate. We went as pirates, and we actually were one of the finalists at the party. But the next day, people are seeing me in the hallway going, "Oh, you were the pirate!" Arr! And that was fun, and I wore the hat the rest of the cruise. And then the next year, I was checking into the hotel, and I had the hat with me, and I had 3 people walk up while I was checking in. And I went, saying, "Oh, ahoy there, matey," and "arr," and "get your sea legs ready," and things like that. And so it occurred to me at that moment, being the genius marketer that I am, and it hadn't occurred to me up until that moment, that maybe I ought to wear it the entire cruise. Maybe I should help that be part of a little bit of a branding thing. Now, here's the thing. With 400 to 500 marketers, you have 30 seconds basically to introduce yourself on one of the days.
Right.
And you can tell them what page you are in the directory and things like that, because we have all of those things. But for me, I turned it all into being the pirate, and you can find me by me hat. And so people would find me wherever I was at on the boat. And nowadays, that was a number of years ago, as I said, and I speak around the country, or have spoken around the country. And now if I go to an event and I don't have on my hat, people ask me, "Where's my hat?"
Yeah.
If I have on my hat, people come up to me and they're doing "arg, arg, arg," ahoy, and all of the pirate talk and things like that. And true story, Jim, true story. I have a 7-foot rolling out poster that I'll have when I'm speaking, a banner with me on it. I'm not wearing the hat. And I literally, at one of the last events I was at, I was one of the keynote speakers for the Guerrilla Marketing World Summit that they have every year.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, in fact, you came one year, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
I invited you one year, and you spoke at it.
I spoke on stage there. Yes, sir. Yeah, I sure did.
You and Dandy Don.
Me and Dandy Don McGrath. Yes, we did.
Right. Well, I'm standing next to that. You've seen this banner. I'm standing next to this 10 feet away from this 7-foot banner, talking with somebody for several minutes, and all of a sudden they go, "What? That's you! That's you! Yeah. Where's your hat?" Because I don't have a hat on the banner.
Yeah.
So it became something. I'm going to take just another half a minute, 30 seconds.
Sure, go right ahead.
I can't help but try to give people tips in their marketing, because I've spent my entire career doing marketing and sales for everything from mom and pops all the way up to multinational corporations. And this is a key thing. Sometimes we get all caught up in our branding, our logo, our slogans and things like that.
Yeah.
Your branding is everything about who you are and how people identify you. So part of the challenge, if you have a business or work in a business, is finding the thing that people connect with. And the example that I want to use, this goes back a little ways. When Apple came out with the iPod, Apple's design team designed it, and they had the little earbuds and they had white wires, because that was all part of the design. It wasn't part of the branding. It was just part of the overall design. But within less than 6 months, it was so identifiable that Apple began running ads all over the country on billboards, in magazines, on buses. And all they had, you may remember this, Jim, they had black silhouettes of people against a plain like purple or red or green background, with two white lines coming out of their ears.
Right.
Didn't even say Apple on them. It was that identifiable to people. That became, I call that accidental branding, but that became branding that people just connected with instantly. And so for me, I get called out at conferences sometimes, or have people come up to me who've seen the hat, or who want to know about the hat, or things like that. So it's been an interesting experience and experiment. But I am known, not just in this country, but in a number of other countries, as the marketing pirate as a result. And I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
You get to tell really corny jokes if they're pirate jokes, you know?
Yeah, you got me yesterday with a couple of them, like they had a sale on the.
Oh yeah, they had a sale over there at the ear piercing salon. A buccaneer. You know, if it's corny and you can make it sound like a pirate, it's funny. You know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it really is. And you know, at this time, if I may take a couple of minutes or a few minutes here and explain the journey I took that enabled us to be able to match up. I was working with a group of people, good group of people now. Let me make it very clear. They were a good group of people, but have you ever been in a situation where you just don't fit in? Everything that you do, I mean, you can do it, but you feel like you're pushing a chain uphill. You're not enjoying it. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there right now who may be doing things just to keep their head above water, but they're not enjoying it. Life is about enjoying life. That's what it's about.
Yes.
We're here to love one another, enjoy the abundance of the world, and not worry about the nonsense. But anyway, I wasn't smart enough to know what I just shared with you then. And, you know, I just kind of like says, you know, they were having a big event down in Orlando, Florida. And I said, I'm not going to go down there. It shows you how smart I am. I'm not going to go down there. I'm not going to spend all that money, because back then, when you went to events, you're talking plane tickets, you're talking hotel tickets, you're talking expenses. I mean, it just starts adding up.
Oh, easily. You can spend $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 just in the basics, like the room and the travel and the food that you eat at the overpriced food at the hotel. I got into arguments years ago with companies when I was on expense account, because they'd give you, they'd want to give you a $25 a day per diem. And I'd say, have you looked at the menu at the restaurants at the hotel that you can't get breakfast for $25?
Not at all.
And it's very expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm sitting here and the back of my mind tells me you need to go. And I'm saying no. So I'm at war with myself in between the ears. Can any of you out there relate to that? You know, your mind is trying to tell you you need to go, and you're saying no, like a spoiled brat. I'm not going to do that. Well, the deal worked out to where if I would go, they would actually pay for my room at the hotel, which is unheard of. So I went, but I says, I'm going to go under one condition. I'm going to change the direction of my life. And you know something, ladies and gentlemen? That's all I needed to know at that point. I didn't need to know the big picture or the end result or 5 years down the road. It's not important. All I needed to know was that I was going to make a change. And it felt good to me deep down inside. That's all I needed at that point.
And I'd love to tell everybody that it was the brilliance of me speaking on stage that made the change. But the reality is I wasn't speaking at that event.
Yeah. But I went down there and I met some people, and I just went because I was open and because I had that desire in my heart that I was going to do something different. When I saw it, I knew it. Even as dumb as I am, no one had to explain it to me. I said, this is it. And I went down that path, and that's how I met Emerson. And this has led on to us doing many TV shows together now. This is about number 12 or 15, something like that, and it's still counting. Yeah. but we're also going to be doing other things together. But that would have never happened if I lived in fear and enslaved myself and wasn't open to changing my life. The question is for you, are you ready for change? That's important, isn't it, Emerson?
It is. The universe is limitless. Limitless. You can call it blue ocean. You can call it what it's limitless. And as it turned out, somebody was speaking there that you met.
Right.
And they had a company and brought in people from all over the world
Yes.
to a class that I did. And I worked with them and I created a program and to teach business people like yourself, to teach a different way of thinking about your marketing and seeing things differently with it. We're going to be talking about some more today, seeing things differently and getting outside of the stuff, the tactical. Do I do Facebook? Do I do direct mail? Do I do email? What about Instagram? How much should I spend over here? How much should I spend over there? Into a higher place where you're able to understand strategically what you want to accomplish and how the best way is to do it. And honestly, Jim, support me on this. If you are going to work at it strategically, all those tactical decisions become really easy.
Yes. And a lot of the things will come to you. You will know it at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. You don't have to figure it out.
And your market will teach you.
Yes.
Your market will teach you. That's a powerful, powerful lesson, is to listen and let your market teach you what you need to know in order to reach more of the ideal people that you're looking to reach. Now, I'm talking mainly to those of you who have a business here. And that's important because I realize this is a very mixed audience. Some do, some don't. And some of the things we're going to talk about today, Jim, even if you don't have a business, even if you're working for somebody, all of these are things that they can take and apply. And honestly, even if you don't work outside the home, for your children, for your family, some of the things we're talking about today will be game changers. They will be life changing because we're talking about changing a whole perspective.
Yeah.
And this is the moment where we get to do it. And every generation, I think, this isn't scientific, but every generation has certain moments where the people who are going through those moments have the opportunity to choose paths. And some people, those paths create massive change, like with you, Jim, create massive change and take them to whole new levels. And for others, those moments in time can destroy them.
Yes.
We don't want any of you to be crushed by the moments and the time and the changes that are taking place. We can't stop a company from using drones to make a delivery. We can't stop a company from using robots to complete a process. We can't stop companies from taking their production over to another country and lowering their costs. These are the things these are decisions companies make and do, and that's not even important. What's important is that we get above all of the stuff so that we can say, oh my gosh, here's an opportunity here. Here's a way I can take what I know here. People that have gone through this that I'm going through can be affected here. Here's some added value that I can bring over here. And we get over all of the stuff that we have no control over. And we start looking at the areas that we can chart a new course, chart a new path, and make profound change for ourselves.
Yeah. And when you're answering your calling, rest assured of this, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to enjoy it.
Oh,
because this is what you're naturally doing. See, the reason why I wanted to make a change originally, I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. This was just not my cup of tea. It wasn't anything wrong. It's just, I was at the wrong place, wrong time. But I think, no, I was at the wrong place at the right time. And I think some of you are at the wrong place right now at the right time. And if I may, Emerson, I like to share one of my favorite stories that started out in about 1929, 1930. And this couple, now this is the beginning of the Depression. And all we know about the Depression is dust bowls, poverty, no
that's where we
jobs,
put all of our
no money.
focus.
Yeah. And this couple decided, well, we can do one thing and we can do one thing good that we love. We can make cakes. And they drove around in a 1928, I think it was a Trippet, because there's a lot of car manufacturers back in those days.
Yeah, a lot of manufacturers of cars. 1920s, there was an explosion in car manufacturers.
Oh,
and an explosion in road building. We talked about some of this stuff on our previous show, Jim.
Yes, we sure
the
did.
1920s were this massive period of creativity and growth and innovation and people finding whole new careers and jobs. And that's what we're in right now.
Yeah, exactly. And these folks, they decided, well, we're going to do something we love to do, and we're going to bring a little joy to someone's life. And they went around driving in their car, selling these cakes for 5 cents a piece. Now, 5 cents was quite a bit of money back during the Depression.
Well, you got to think about it. A soda in a soda machine was a nickel all the way up until about 1960. Right? In fact, here's a little marketing tidbit for you. Pepsi Cola got their big boost in market share by jumping from a 6-ounce bottle. Remember the old 6-ounce Coke bottles to a 12-ounce bottle, and their entire marketing campaign was Pepsi Cola hits the spot. 12 full ounces. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's right.
Still I remember nickel, that. And that's probably, I'll say, early 1960s.
Yeah, it was early 60s, maybe late 50s,
so
right in
there.
there.
A lot of money when you're talking about the time period that Jim's talking about here.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what they did. They followed their dream, their passion, they did what they loved doing, and they continued on. And the first bakery they had, the bakery was up front. They just had a kind of like a curtain that separated the bakery in front from the living quarters in the back. That's how poor they were. But they were happy. And then they continued on. In 1960, I think it was, they built the bakery the way they wanted it. I mean, they knew exactly what they wanted because all those years of experience, they built it. And then the marketer says, you need to come up with a good name. And they thought, And they really weren't marketers. They really didn't know about a good name, but they just happened to pick, which was a great name, the name of their granddaughter. And ladies and gentlemen, I personally have eaten about a truckload of their snacks and cakes because that company became Little Debbie. That's how it got its start. Now you picture that back in the 30s, back during the Depression, who would have a nickel? And if you'd ask people, should we go driving around so we can sell cakes for a nickel? Everybody would tell you what? No, you'll go broke. But yet they made it work.
And you can get a blue plate special at diners for a dime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And when we talk about, most of the listeners will have heard the term, if they don't remember, a five and dime or a five and dime store.
Yeah, Woolworths.
But, a lot of your stores like Woolworths, Walgreens, a lot of others, I believe Walgreens did, as I recall, but a lot of them had their starts in that five and dime stage where everything was a nickel or a dime. I mean, nowadays we have a dollar store, which apparently is going up to $1. It has gone up to $1.25 now, but we had the dollar store, but then it was the five and dime, the nickel and dime.
You're exactly right.
And so that was a lot. You could buy a lot of things for a nickel.
Yeah, it sure was. And as change came, people who were open-minded and they were, ready for a change. They were looking for a change. They weren't complaining about the change, okay? You got to stop complaining about the change because the world's not going to go back the way it was. It never has in the history of the world, so it's not going to do it for you or me. Stop complaining about it. Start looking for ways of opportunity.
Yep.
And it's, I'm as glad that I made that decision when I said, okay, I'm going to go because my mind won't leave me alone. I'm going to go down there to Orlando, but I'm going to change my life once I go down there. And that's all I needed to know because
And a
that's
few weeks
all.
later.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you
a few
were.
weeks later. Yeah. And kind of like the old story, the rest is history. But the thing of it is that I was willing to embrace the change.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it really is because you're sitting there. Some of you may be sitting there and you're thinking, well, I'd like, I definitely want to do something different, but I don't know what. Well, that's okay. Don't worry about the what. The main thing is to adjust your mind to accept change, look for ways how you can bless others, and then you will be blessed.
And
Because
who else is having the experience that you're having?
Mm-hmm.
Who else is going through the stuff that you've gone through? Who
Oh,
else
yeah.
is going through the issues that you've had to figure out? And
Mm-hmm.
you've found a way to figure them out. You've found a way to work with them. Maybe the company that you work with does. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you figured it out and you're not a company. You're just an individual, but you figured out a way to help. Maybe you're a single mom and
Yeah.
you've had to figure out a way to work through a situation where you didn't have childcare readily available for you and you didn't have
Mm-hmm.
transportation public transportation readily available for you. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it was a situation where you worked within a company and suddenly you're cut off. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is virtual and you're expected to do things, but you don't have the resources. You can't go out and meet with people and talk with people. All of these are things that this is a joint experience that we've had. And I'm going to just diverge here for a second. There are parts of our society who have been affected more from this than others.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll pull one out of the air. Millennials and Gen X don't have the advantage of being in the break room and learning from people, being
Right.
able to meet people in the hall and ask them questions when they run into issues.
Mm-hmm.
So there are whole sub markets that I've seen being developed that are helping people and helping small businesses work with this group to bring them forward and to bridge that gap, and are willing to pay to have somebody who can come and do those things and who work with them. And there are people who are working with single women and mothers who are at home who it's like they're trying to take care of the kids and they don't have childcare. There's all sorts of things, and I'm just pulling some out of the air as we're talking here, Jim. But there's so many things that the pandemic, COVID, the situation, the economy, all of these things have created new pathways, new ways to address, and some of them people aren't going back to.
That's right.
There's a thing, in fact, it's being referred to right now as the Great Resignation. How many of you have heard that? Where people aren't just going back to work.
Yeah.
Because they have found that model didn't work.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm talking to you. But it's saying all of these support structures that were in place. We love to be in America, we love to be the self-made thing. I did it on my own, with my own bootstraps. All these. No, I didn't have anybody helping me. Well, that's always been a lie.
Yeah.
There's always other people, and not acknowledging them doesn't make them not present.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if you have somebody who's a great, great, great worker, a great employee, but they're relying on healthcare, are they relying on childcare? Are they relying on a transportation that no longer is available? And all of the different little pieces that make it possible for them to be the best they can be for you. Holy Toledo. Think about it. And now I want to reverse that. In the current situation that we're in, look around. What are the issues that you're dealing with? What are the issues that you're facing? What are the issues that your employees are coming in and saying, hey, I'm having this problem? What are the things that your vendors are needing or your suppliers are needing? What are the things that your clients are needing, your customers are needing? And you're hearing it, start listening to it.
Yeah.
Use your listening ears, because what they're giving you are the opportunities for you to stand out and for you to present yourself as a solution. And being a solution.
Yeah.
That's what the little marquee, that you had up earlier about finding your calling. Who are you the solution for? What can you do that you've got? And you say, well, other people can do what I do. Well, you know what? Baloney. You've experienced something that has made you aware of it, and you have certain ways of explaining things and ways that you find workarounds and solutions, and you can work with and help others do that. You can expand your business and position yourself for your children, for your clients, for your vendors, for your customers, or whatever, in a way that makes you invaluable.
There you go.
Invaluable.
I love that word you're using there, Emerson, because I want to share something with the folks out there that it was my life. And before I got involved in the internet and all that stuff, and obviously before I became, on TV or radio, especially radio, I've got over 6 million downloads there on that one show. And
before you became a celebrity, just say it, Jim.
Well, before I got old and ugly, that's more accurate. But I owned a manufacturing business.
Yep.
Now, one of the things that I hated to do was to dismiss an employee. I'd work around things, I'd overlook things, I'd talk to them, etc., etc. Why? Because of all the time and all the expense in training another employee in a technical environment. Because running a $250,000 piece of equipment, you just can't hire someone off the street and say, okay, push button A, B, C, and D, and everything works fine. Because in business people do not have they don't have the time to iron out the little wrinkles of problems. That's going to open some doors for you folks out there. And you're going to be a blessing, because if someone asked me, what would I like to do during my day when I ran my company? I wanted to be in front of my customers, because that's fun. Because these people liked me. We had a great reputation. They called the day, they got it today. But the reputation we built, this is a nicety to know, when they picked up the phone, called my company, and gave us a purchase order, they didn't have to worry about that anymore, because there's other things that's going to be eating up their time, aggravations, all these other things, and we're the ones just kept delivering. Boom, boom, boom. No hassles, no nothing. And so for you folks out there looking for a way to be able to help people, look at where they spend most of their time doing things that they don't enjoy doing.
What's their headache? What's their heartburn? What's their stress? What keeps them awake at night? What are they worried about? What do they have to What do they have to come in early for? What do they have to leave late for? What's keeping them from their kids' soccer game or baseball game?
Yeah. In other words, what grinds their grits?
What's making them into a grouch? And they don't like being a grouch. I mean, all of these things.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm encouraging all of you, look beyond the stuff and look forward at the opportunities. It's been called the Great Resignation, and it doesn't make any sense if you think about it on the surface, that all of a sudden people who haven't worked for months aren't wanting to go back.
Right.
That people are leaving jobs, and it's affecting that whole employment picture in a whole different way. But people had a year or more at home. They got to be around their kids. They got to see their kids growing. They got to do things. They got to plan their own schedule, to have more sense of empowerment in their life. And so you have hybrid workers going in now. Companies are giving people lifestyle choices to make it work better. We've got other things to consider too. Companies are looking at, well, should we bring in more artificial intelligence to work with our people? Should we have kiosks? How many of you have been to a fast food place? Maybe you walked inside, didn't sit in a line outside, and they had a kiosk there where you could order what your fast food was. You did it. And you went up there, and there was the food. Robotics, drones. There's a lot of things like that.
And there's a lot
of things like that, Jim, that are going to replace functional things from the past.
Yes.
But every one of those, this is back to Napoleon Hill. Every adversity brings the seed of a greater or equal benefit.
It does. It does.
So all of those things open up doors for all sorts of new opportunities if that's what you're looking at.
And a lot of people that were laid off or lost their jobs, they've said, okay, that's a one and done with me. I'm not going to go through that again. I'm not going to set myself up for failure. I'm going to take charge of my life, and I want to make a better life for me and my family, me and my kids, or just me, myself, and I, the big three.
Quality of life.
Yes, exactly. And I can guarantee you, I've never read a story on this, but I can guarantee you that back in the early 1900s, when all of these automobiles started coming on the scene, they were these horse and buggy guys that would think, hey, that's just a passing fancy. I mean, there's been horses and buggies for thousands of years. That's never going to change. How many horse and buggy shops do you know now?
Jim, I can tell you a personal example of that. I did, back in the day, I did a lot of direct mail. A lot of direct mail, which, by the way, there's a whole nother thing that I think we talked about on one of the shows. The death spiral of the post office means that direct mail can be your very best way to reach people right now, because they have so much less competition for the eyeballs. But that's another whole thing. This isn't about that. As I was transitioning, starting in 1993, onto more online marketing, so online, somebody gave me a book called Permission Marketing. It wasn't until I was doing 1 million emails a day. 1 million emails a day. This is 97, 98. And they gave me this book, Permission Marketing. And it wasn't until I read that I went, when you have trends and you have shifts and you have changes, these aren't just physical changes. They're not just inconvenience changes or convenience changes. They're psychological things, psychographic things. And you and I have had a lot of conversations about psychographics, Jim. But up until that moment, if somebody sent me some blistering thing about take me off your list and this and that and the other and so forth and so on and about my origins and heritage and everything else, I just took it with a grain of salt. It's like, hey, I send you a piece of mail, you don't like it, you throw it in the garbage. I get that. What's the problem here? But email was the most intimate kind of message that had ever come along, because it was right in your face when you open that inbox. And if you didn't ask for it, people felt that here. So there was a shift there. There was a shift for me in understanding how people were responding. I just assumed because it was like, hey, I sent out 1 million pieces of mail. I sent out 1 million pieces of email. You don't like it? Hit delete, big deal.
Oh, yeah.
But it was much more personal than a letter or postcard. It was right there on your face, in your face, on your screen, and people reacted viscerally. They reacted emotionally to that. Well, now, I look at that now and I understand a lot more about it.
Yeah.
What we have to do is to be able to look at all of the things, not assume it's going to go back the way it was. Assume that it's changing, and it's not just that stuff is changing, but the way people feel about stuff is changing. The things that are important before, maybe aren't as
Mhm.
important now. Or maybe they're
Yes.
more important now, but now we recognize it.
Yeah. Yeah.
People who've had the chance to be at home, and I have to say this, not every profession has the option
Mhm.
to just be virtual,
Right.
right? A bus driver can't just be virtual.
Mhm.
A heating, ventilation, and air person can't just be virtual.
Mhm.
People, you can't get served in a restaurant virtual. So there's
Mhm.
some people who will always be in that on the front line physically. Physically.
Mhm.
People are dealing with a lot of things. How can you be the solution?
Mm.
Look at what you're dealing with right now in
Right.
your life, in your business, in your
Mhm.
profession, with your family. And how can you be that solution
Mhm.
and help others through that? And
Mhm.
people will pay you for that. I'll have to add that in. They
Mhm.
will pay you for that.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to add when you were talking about mailing, the physical letters and all, something came to my mind is be truthful in your marketing.
Yes.
Because when I get mail in, if someone asks a question like, you know, uh, would this be of interest to you on the outside or something like that? I'm just going to pick that right out of the clear blue. That would tell me, okay, I might want to open this out of curiosity and see what's in there. But when someone would send me a piece of mail that says, here's the information you requested, and I'd open it up and I've never heard of these people and got no interest in it, they've already made me mad. And
They lied to you.
they've already told me they're a liar. So
They lied to you. Yeah.
you don't want to do business with liars. So be careful on that because I've seen these people come up with all these gimmicks and all these games. And there's guys sitting around, and I'm picking on you guys now because ladies are more. I like to think ladies are more reserved than that. But some of you guys out there, I mean, you know, it's kind of like the salesperson that came up with the idea, whoever this Einstein was, when they're trying to close a deal and say, "You are interested in saving money, aren't you?" That's the worst question to ask a customer. The worst question to ask because you've already insulted their intelligence. Rather than ask them an intelligent question like, you know, is there something that you do not like about this product, or is there something else you're looking for? Ask them questions, but don't
Or
ask
just
them a
using a
question.
simple what else, you know?
Yeah, you're
Other
not
than
interested.
that, what else? Other than that,
Yeah,
what else, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
I have
love
to
your
tell you, Jim, and I'm not going to call his name, a
okay.
top national marketer created an infomercial for a group that I was with.
Hmm.
Okay. It was what we call a talking heads infomercial. Two guys sitting with a rubber tree plant between them talking. And in it, they held up. He had an artist draw up a foam core board with a house and a rainbow, and it said America's Perfect Home-Based Business. And he said, "Here, hold this up, and anybody get people to call in to get your free report." He
Mm.
said, "I don't have a free report." He said, "Don't worry about that. You got a sales letter, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Send them the sales letter. They'll never know." He came back after filming that, and I said, "We can't do that.
No.
You mean our first communication with them is going to be a lie?
Hmm.
That we're going to tell them we're going to send them something, we're going to send them a sales letter?" I said, "That's not." He said, and we went back and forth for about a week or two, and finally he said, "You're
Hmm.
so darn smart. Go write it. If you go write a report if you think we need a report, but I don't want to hear any more about it." So I did. I wrote a report, and we called it at that time America's Perfect Home-Based Business. And the infomercial ultimately we turned into Cash Flow Generator became the longest running lead generating infomercial ever made.
Mm.
But we sent them what we said we would send them. At
Amen.
first contact,
Hmm.
you asked for this report, we're sending you a report. And you know what? This report only had two pieces of information in it that was really usable information. One was an 800 number for a national organization. Anyway, I had people, it was in the real estate investment field. I
Hmm.
had people who actually used that report and bought their first property. It wasn't meant to be a course on how to buy a property.
Wow.
But it inspired them. They got it. But we had sent them what we said we would send them. And that's really the key. We sent them, they asked for a report, we sent a report. If you're going to give them 3 videos to show them how to do something or how to solve something, give them 3 videos on how to do it. If you're going to give them a blueprint, if you're going to give them a consultation, don't make it into a 30-minute sales call.
Right.
Give them a consultation and just ask for, just say, here, you know, well, I want to talk through the stuff that you really got. I want to see if we can drill down. I'd like to have 5 minutes at the end to see if you feel like there's a way we could work together to see how that would look. But give them what you promised them.
Yeah, I love that because, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, when it comes to Emerson and his marketing ability, his knowledge and all that, you can see right there, contact Emerson, talkwithemerson.com. Notice how specific that is, how clear that is. You're not going to go to that website and order a pizza. You're going to go to that website for one purpose, and that's to talk with Emerson. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we had Emerson on a series that we did here on this show. There was 9 in the original series, 1 through 9. And
we did that many? Holy guacamole.
Yeah, we sure did. Now, my point being, if you'd like to have that 9 series, because if you're like me, I'm a point and shoot kind of guy. I was not born into the Lewis and Clark family because I don't want to go on an expedition on the internet trying to find everything. Therefore, if you email us here or get in touch with Emerson, either way, and say, hey, I want that 9-part series that you did on marketing, we will send you all 9 links, the YouTube links, and we're going to set you up just like I want to be set up. Give me something I can click on. I'm a point and shoot kind of guy. Let me take there. There's no obligation to buy anything. This is our gift to you, our complimentary gift from Emerson and me and all the folks here at E360 TV, the TV show, Donna. This is our gift to you. So all you got to do is just ask us for it. We'll be more than happy to email you that. And we will not badger you and chase you down trying to sell you something else by your email address, because we know how we feel. If I ask for something as a complimentary gift, give me something, and then you can stay in touch with me if you want to, but don't badger me every single day trying to sell me something. I don't like that. I know you don't like that. So just let us know. We'd be glad to send it to you.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jim, I'll send you, I did a blueprint a few years back. It's a couple of years ago. And it was extremely popular, especially on some of the conferences and things that I did. But it is a blueprint that basically takes the couple of days that you and I spent together in that class and hits all of the key points that I was trying to make with that class. And it's all in a single blueprint that they can download. So I'll send you a copy of that. Anybody who responds, feel free to send it to them.
Oh, yeah, I sure will.
The key concepts are all there. There's certain things like, you've talked about this before, Jim, like one of the first things that you heard me say was what?
The first question you asked me is, what is your first, I remember the exact words, but what's the first thing you want to do with your marketing campaign?
What's the main thing you want out of your marketing?
And I popped off with attract as many people as you can. And Emerson said, no, you want to repel all the people you can't help. And I says, wow, I guess I need this course then.
You know what, folks? There's so many things. There's so many things that we just get so mixed up in. If you have somebody who's single and they go to a speed dating thing, their objective isn't to get as many dates as they can out of it, Their objective is to get through as many of those bozos as they can, and maybe, just maybe, find somebody that they might want to have a second conversation with. Well, your marketing isn't any different.
Yep.
And your marketing is the thing. Your marketing is the thing that separates the wheat from the chaff. It's the thing that repels the people that you don't want to be wasting your time with, but gets the interest of the people that you do.
And look at it like this.
Really, when you take that kind of a thought process,
Mm-hmm.
and you put it towards your business, your message, and things like that, your life changes. You stop wasting so much time
Yeah.
with tire kickers and people who
Yeah.
belittle your people and who don't listen to you and then blame you when stuff doesn't work and everything else.
Yeah.
Not to mention the deadbeats who don't want to pay you. You know?
Oh, yeah, it's really amazing because, I like to look at people in a special way and just, how would I feel if I help an individual get from where they are to where they want to be? And then you look for those people that fit that niche.
That's it.
That's it.
Figure out
Because
who you don't
everybody
want.
else, everybody else, you can't house train their dog, you can't correct their kids or anything, or teach their kids how to do their homework on time. That's not your forte. So trying to help people that are just looking for ways to, looking for something that you do not offer, you're wasting your time, you're wasting their time, and both of you are going to wind up aggravated at each other. So just visualize how it
What's the
would
old
feel.
saying? You can't reason with a mule.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, just visualize how your ideal client would feel if you could just do everything that you could to help them, and then look for those clients that fit that niche. That's it.
And that phrase, ideal client, that's really the key. Who is that ideal?
Yeah.
And figure out who you don't want, folks. Figure out who you don't want. Because if you really, really get clear on who you don't want, your message will start reflecting that. And the people that you don't want will self-select out. And they won't waste your time. And they
That's
won't
right.
waste your people's time. And they won't, the ones that you get are going to be wanting you and ready for you.
Yeah.
And happy to work with you.
Mhm.
And referring other people just like themselves to you.
Yeah, it's kind of like being a specialist. If you're a doctor, let's say if you're a heart specialist, since I've got a little experience in that arena,
You got some
people who are,
experience in that arena?
oh yeah, I was, you don't see my credentials.
I got a little experience in the neurospace,
I hear you, I hear you, but I mean, people are not going to contact you if they know what your specialty is. Like, and using a doctor is a heart specialist. He's not going to have people calling up trying to get an appointment with him because they got an ingrown toenail. Okay. That might be a very poor and a very lousy analogy, but it's grassroots reality analogy because otherwise,
reality. I like that. I
yeah,
like that. It's a good word.
yeah,
Reality.
yeah.
Well, let's flip it around. Let's
Okay.
say that you got a broken. You're an orthopedic person, and you work on you work on broken
Bones.
broken bones, broken. You don't want to get somebody who has a heart issue.
Right.
That's a waste of your time. That's not
Yeah.
what you do.
Mhm.
And don't be afraid to be able to say, no, here's
Yeah.
somebody you need to talk to. This is what I
Yeah.
do. This is who we are. This is
Yeah.
who we serve. This is
Mhm.
what we can accomplish. We can
Mhm.
do these things. You know what? We can do lots of other things, maybe.
Mhm.
But there are people who do most of those things a lot better than we do.
Yeah.
In fact, if you take it a step or two beyond that, you begin to find people who work with the clients that you're looking for.
Mhm.
Okay. They have your audience.
Mhm.
Follow me on this.
Mhm.
But you do certain things and they do certain things. And you can refer people to them and they can refer people to you.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
it's this beautiful
Mhm.
symbiotic relationship.
Mhm. Yeah.
And you don't have to be worried about competition and stuff like that. The
Mhm.
truth is there's certain things that you can do that you may be the very best in your area at. You might
Mhm.
not be the biggest. There's only one biggest, and there's only one cheapest. You don't need to be the biggest, and please don't be the cheapest.
There you go.
Okay, but
Mhm.
there are an unlimited number of best, and for somebody, get this, for somebody, you are their best. Your
Mhm.
job is to figure out who that person is
Mhm.
and who all these other people are that are crowding the room and keeping you from being able to get across that room to talk to them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's what your marketing does. It separates out those people. Mm-hmm. It attracts the people that you really want and mm-hmm. repels the people that you don't want.
And you can't help them.
Mm-hmm. You can't help them. Are there somebody else who can help them? But that's not the area. Your zone, when you're in the zone, mm-hmm. when you're working in that zone, mm-hmm. it's joy. Mm-hmm. And it's joy for you and it's joy for the person mm-hmm. that you're working with.
I want to share one little tidbit for all the folks that's been watching the show today. You know, there's a lady that I know. In fact, I was talking to my wife this morning about growing up in the South. All the food that we ate, we find out now is not good for us because of all the ingredients in it that's not healthy, that, you know, anyway. But this lady created a business. She's got healthy desserts, chocolates. So I'm going to talk more to her in that arena. But she's also creating, because a lot of moms in general, you know, when they work at, 8 to 5 and all that, or 9 to 5, whatever, and they get off work, then they go pick up fast food.
Oh my gosh.
And they don't know how.
I'm blown away. We have fast food places right here. Yeah. They have 2 lines going around them with people standing out in the line taking the orders.
Oh, yeah. And
20, 30 cars in line. It's like, holy cow.
And it's because young moms or the moms don't know how to cook, or if they've gotten for how to cook. So now she's got
our young dads, our two income households, and
sure,
so many other things.
Yeah, because now she's teaching them how to prepare simple dishes, healthy dishes, that sort of thing. That's her forte. That's what she loves doing. So when it comes to finding your calling in life, what is it that you love to do? And, be sure and get in touch with Emerson. His website is Web3 Direct, as you see there, Web3, the number 3, direct.com. Also, if you'd like to talk with Emerson, talkwithemerson.com. Very simple, very straightforward, very uncomplicated. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday afternoon. We've had a great time together, and Emerson will be back with us on some future shows because he's just, he's family. That's all we got to say. He's family. So him being family, that means we call on him, we draft him, we love him. And again, the 9 marketing shows that we did, please get in touch with us at our email.
There's some good stuff on those shows.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's see, the email, is that it there? Messages, that's on our Facebook page. You can reach us there. I'm trying to go through this real quickly because we're getting out of time, but it's inspiration@e360tv.com, just like you see there. We'll be glad to get you the email of the direct links to the YouTube video, and anything Emerson sends me, we'll send that to you. And we're not going to chase after you and try to sell you, the Golden Gate Bridge or anything. In fact, I sold it this morning, so I don't have it no more in my inventory. But sincerely, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. For all of you folks that's viewing in around the world, in Pakistan and India and various places, Vietnam and all, we sincerely thank you for tuning in, watching our show. The folks over in Europe, my goodness gracious, there's so many places we just want to thank. But thank you for tuning in, because Emerson and I, we realize that you have the power of the red X up in the upper right-hand corner. And yet you stayed with us, and we sincerely hope we've been a blessing to you. Just remember to love yourself first, love others. We pray that you and your family will be richly blessed in all areas of your life. And most importantly, we pray that you will live in love and abundance, and your loved ones will too. We'll see you on Monday. Thank you so much.
Jim, I've worked with clients in I think 31 countries. The stuff that we're talking about with you right now, people all over the world are experiencing it. And this is true. The things that we're sharing, they're true. All over the world. Absolutely.
The principles are always the same. Some methods and techniques will be updated, but we look forward to seeing you back here on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you.